The horse trainer touched the rein so lightly that no one watching could see it move. But the 1,000-pound stallion responded instantly, turning, stopping, accelerating, as if reading her mind. "How are you doing that?" someone in the crowd asked. Sarah smiled. "I'm not doing anything big, just something so small it's invisible." This is the story of Maestro, a rescue horse who couldn't be controlled with force, and the trainer who discovered that the smallest input, repeated consistently, creates the biggest transformation. What Sarah learned didn't just change how she trains horses. It changed how she lost 40 pounds, built a 6-figure business, and rewired her entire life. All because of something she calls the invisible rein, the habit so small you barely notice you're doing it, but powerful enough to steer your entire future. Maestro arrived at Sarah's ranch with a reputation: untrainable. He was a 7-year-old thoroughbred who'd been passed through 5 owners in 3 years. Each one had the same complaint: he doesn't listen, pull the reins hard. He'd plant his feet and refuse to move. Use spurs? He'd buck. Yell? He'd tune you out completely. Every attempt to control him with force made him more resistant. The last owner was about to send him to auction, code for probably headed to slaughter, when Sarah intervened. She paid $800 for a horse most trainers wouldn't take for free. Her friends thought she was crazy. "You can't fix a horse like that," they said. "Some animals are just broken." But Sarah saw something they didn't. Maestro wasn't broken. He was reacting to a pattern everyone kept repeating, trying to control him with big, forceful corrections. Sarah tried something no one else had. She stopped using force entirely. No yanking reins. No sharp corrections. No loud commands. Instead, she used what she called micro-cues, signals so subtle they were almost invisible. A half-ounce of pressure on the rein, a shift of weight in the saddle, a breath that changed rhythm, movements so small that observers couldn't see them, but Maestro could feel them. The first week was chaos. Maestro ignored her completely, expecting the usual force that never came. Sarah just sat there, giving the tiniest cues and waiting. Then, on day 8, something shifted. Sarah applied a whisper of pressure to the left rein, barely more than the weight of a feather, and Maestro turned left. Not because he was forced, but because the cue was so small his brain didn't trigger resistance. It felt like his idea, not hers. She did it again. Right rein. Feather light. He turned right. Within 2 weeks, Maestro was responding to cues invisible to the human eye. Within a month, Sarah could ride him through complex patterns using nothing but breath, weight shifts, and millimeter-level rein adjustments. People watching her ride asked the same question: "How are you controlling him without doing anything?" The answer: "I'm doing everything, just in amounts too small to trigger his defenses." One night, sitting in her truck after training, Sarah had a revelation. She'd spent the last 5 years fighting herself the same way those trainers fought Maestro. Big, forceful changes that triggered massive resistance. I'm going to lose 50 pounds. Crash diet for 2 weeks. Binge, give up. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Lasted 3 days, slept through alarm, quit. I'm going to build a business. Spent weekend building website, got overwhelmed, never launched. Every time, the same pattern. Big ambition, massive effort, resistance, failure, shame. What if the problem wasn't her willpower? What if it was the size of the input? Sarah decided to treat herself like Maestro. Stop using force. Start using invisible cues. Instead of lose 50 pounds, she chose drink 1 glass of water before coffee each morning. That's it. 1 glass, 30 seconds. So small her brain couldn't justify resisting it. She did it for 30 days, not because it would make her skinny, it wouldn't, but because she wanted to prove she could change something without triggering her self-sabotage. Day 31, she added a second micro-habit. Walk to the mailbox before breakfast. 2 minutes. 0 pressure. Just consistent repetition of something absurdly small. 6 months later, Sarah had lost 40 pounds. But not because she tried to. Here's what actually happened. The water habit led to feeling slightly less hungry at breakfast, which led to eating a smaller portion. which led to having more energy, which led to walking a bit longer, which led to sleeping better, which led to craving sugar less, which led to... None of these changes felt significant in the moment, but compounded over 180 days, they restructured her entire metabolism and routine. She called it the invisible rain effect, the same principle she used with Maestro. A cue so small, it bypasses resistance, repeated so consistently it rewires the system. Sarah started researching habit formation and found something validating. Neuroscience backs up what she discovered with Maestro. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, calls it the 1% rule. Improving by just 1% daily compounds into a 37x improvement over a year. But the inverse is also true. Getting 1% worse daily leads to collapse. The reason most people fail at big changes: the brain's resistance threshold. When you announce, "I'm running a marathon," your brain calculates the gap between current state, 0 training, and goal, 26.2 miles. The gap triggers fear, overwhelm, and the prefrontal cortex screams, "This is impossible, abort." But when you say, "I'm putting on running shoes," the gap is tiny. The brain doesn't resist. You do it. And once shoes are on, running 2 minutes feels easier than taking them off. Sarah developed a framework she called the Invisible Rain Protocol. 1. Identify the 2-minute version. Instead of the big goal, find the action so small it takes less than 2 minutes and triggers 0 resistance. Examples. Goal: write a book. 2-min version: open laptop and write 1 sentence. Goal: get fit. 2-min version: do 1 push-up. Goal: build a business. 2-min version: write down 1 business idea. The key: it must feel laughably easy. If it feels hard, it's still too big. 2. Commit to consistency, not intensity. Do the 2-minute version every single day for 30 days. No exceptions. No making up for it tomorrow. Maestro didn't learn from 1 perfect training session. He learned from 90 days of tiny, consistent cues. 3. Let momentum expand naturally. After 30 days, the habit is automatic. Now you can expand, but only by another 1-2 minutes. Day 31. 2 sentences, 1 extra push-up, 2 business ideas. The brain accepts gradual expansion because it doesn't feel like a new threat. It's just continuing what you're already doing. For 2 years, Sarah had wanted to launch an online horse training course. Every time she sat down to start, she'd get paralyzed. I need to film 40 lessons. I need a website. I need a marketing plan. The gap felt insurmountable, so she never started. Then she applied the invisible rain. Write 1 sentence of lesson 1. That's it. 1 sentence. Some days it was, "Today's lesson is about connection." Other days, "Horses respond to energy, not volume." Terrible? Yes. But done. After 30 days, she had 30 terrible sentences. But she also had momentum. Day 31, writing 2 sentences felt easier than stopping. 6 months later, she had a full course. Imperfect, rough, but launched. First month, $4,000 in sales. Year 1, $80,000. Year 2, $220,000. All because she started with 1 sentence. What Sarah discovered aligns with research from Stanford's B.J. Fogg, who studies behavior design. Motivation is unreliable. Ability is everything. You don't need more willpower to change. You need to make the action so easy that willpower isn't required. Fogg's behavior model, B, map, behavior, motivation, X, ability, X, prompt. Most people try to increase M, motivation, but motivation fluctuates. Instead, increase A, ability, by making the behavior absurdly small. Maestro didn't need more motivation to respond to the rain. He needed the cue to be small enough that compliance felt effortless. Sarah identified why most habit attempts fail. Arrow number 1, starting too big. I'll meditate 30 minutes daily. Lasts 3 days, invisible rain. Fix, I'll take 3 conscious breaths before breakfast. Arrow number 2, making it conditional. I'll exercise if I have time, feel motivated, the weather is nice. Invisible rain, May. I'll do one push-up immediately after brushing my teeth. Non-negotiable trigger. Arrow number 3, measuring success by results instead of reps. I didn't lose weight this week, so my diet isn't working. Invisible rain. Fix. I drank water before coffee, 7 days. Success. The habit is the victory, not the outcome. Outcomes come later, after 180 days of consistent reps. 2 years after discovering the invisible rain, Sarah's life was unrecognizable. Health, lost 40 pounds without dieting, ran her first 5K, started with 2-minute walks. Sleeps 7+ hours, started with lights off by 10:05 p.m. Business, 220K, year from online courses, started with 1 sentence. Day, 8,000+ students worldwide, started with 1 email to a friend. Hired 2 assistants, started by delegating 1 task. Skills. Learned Spanish, started with 1 Duolingo lesson day. Published a book, started with 100 words a day. Built YouTube channel to 40K subscribers, started with 1 ugly video a week. None of these felt like achievements while happening. They felt like barely doing anything. But compounded over 700+ days, they rewired her entire identity. Maestro's second life. And Maestro? The untrainable horse became Sarah's demonstration horse for clinics worldwide. People would watch her ride him with invisible cues and say, "That's not real. There's no way he's responding to something that small." Sarah would invite them to try. They'd pull the reins hard, kick with spurs, yell, and Maestro would resist every time. Then Sarah would whisper a cue, breath, weight, millimeter of rain, and he'd move like water. The lesson was always the same. Force creates resistance. Subtlety creates flow. Sarah now teaches the invisible rain method to thousands of students. The core framework. Week 1 to 4. Establish the micro habit. Choose 1 habit so small it feels stupid. Do it daily for 30 days, 2 minutes max. Track completion, not results. Week 5 to 8. Expand by 1% only. Add 1 to 2 minutes or 1 additional rep. Still feels easy. Never skip a day. Week 9 to 12. Let compounding begin. Habit is now automatic. Doesn't require willpower. Momentum pulls you forward. Add second micro habit if desired. Month 6 to 12. Identity shift. You're no longer trying to change. You're simply someone who does this thing. Behavior becomes part of who you are. Sarah calculated something sobering. If she'd kept trying the all-or-nothing approach, big goals, massive effort, inevitable burnout, she'd still be exactly where she was 2 years ago. 0 pounds lost, 0 business, 0 book, 0 momentum. Instead, by doing almost nothing every day, she built more than she'd imagined possible. The invisible rain isn't about lowering standards. It's about engineering inevitable success by making failure harder than compliance. Here's what Maestro taught Sarah, and what she now teaches the world. You don't need bigger goals. You need smaller actions. The rein that steers a 1,000-pound horse isn't the one yanked with force. It's the one touched with a feather and repeated with consistency. Your life works the same way. 1 glass of water won't transform your health, but 1 glass daily for 365 days will. 1 sentence won't write your book, but 1 sentence daily for 200 days will finish it. 1 minute won't build your business, but 1 minute daily for a year will change your entire trajectory. The invisible rain isn't about what you do once. It's about what you do barely enough, but never miss. If you've been waiting for motivation, inspiration, or the perfect moment to start, you're waiting for something that will never come. Motivation doesn't create action. Action creates motivation. Start with something so small your brain can't justify resisting it. Then show up tomorrow and do it again. The compound effect doesn't care how you feel. It only cares that you showed up. Touch the rain. Barely. But touch it every single day. In 2 years, you won't recognize your life.